remarks. We bless your name as you are on official duty. Thank you so much once again. Her message has been very specific, and today we are going to delve into those two topics, but one of them, which is very important, is the UK Chevening Scholarship, which, as we are going to get to hear more, is one of the UK's most prestigious international scholarship programs funded by the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office and partner organizations. It is aimed at developing global leaders by offering fully funded opportunities for outstanding emerging leaders from around the world to pursue a one-year master's degree in the UK. And without, of course, going so far into the detail, we are going to have a very, very distinguished expert in this topic who is going to help us appreciate the issues that touch that discussion, and we shall have an opportunity, of course, to ask a few questions and get answers therefrom. And the person who we are going to be listening to is an award-winning PR professional, a guru at that. She was ranked among the top 50 influential women in Africa in 2023 and a top 20 PR gurus in Uganda in 2024. She has over 14 years experience in the PR and communications field. She is the current communications officer at the British High Commission Kampala and also doubles as the Chevening officer there. She is a former media personality who is credited for pioneering breakfast shows in Uganda via her popular breakfast show, Daybreaker. She is also a chartered international PR professional. In addition, she is a corporate governance expert. She is described as energetic, as we are going to see, creative, versatile, and a results-oriented professional. She is the immediate past president of the Public Relations Association of Uganda, PRAU, and is also a Rotarian. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome with me Miss Tina Wamala to take us through that discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you to ULS for this kind invitation. I'm super excited. So my role here today is quite simple. I'll be speaking to you about the fantastic Chevening Scholarship. And before I begin, I just need to mention that this is more than a scholarship. It's beyond a scholarship, actually. It's a movement. You are potentially going to join a community of global change makers, leaders, and influencers from around the world. So for us, Chevening is beyond a scholarship. It's much, much more. It's a family of impactful, influential change makers that you potentially will be joining. Just to give you a preamble, because some of you in this room or online may not know what it's about, Chevening is the UK government's premier scholarship program that offers a one-year master's in any field or subject of your choosing or passion or area of influence at any of the UK's top universities. Chevening is looking for visionaries, people who have big dreams, big ideas, who want to make an impact in society. So we always say, for us, we want realistic people, individuals who have great ideas that they're ready to actualize and come back and create a positive impact here in Uganda. We're looking for people on the path, on the rise, to either influence or lead in their sector. And here, important to note is we are not necessarily looking for established leaders or people who've already reached a certain stage in their careers or in their lives. We are looking to grow the journey with you. We're looking to be part of your trajectory as you navigate this complex world that we live in. So key here is we're looking for people with the leadership potential, influencing potential, people with great networking skills, and ready to create an impact in Uganda. And the key word here is potential, like I said earlier. We're looking for people just who are ready, hungry, who have the zeal to create an impact in society. To be eligible or to qualify for this scholarship, you need to have a minimum of 2 years working experience, and this is on completion of your undergraduate degree. So by the time you apply, you must have your transcript in hand, you must have your certificate in hand. You need to be able to articulate strong, compelling examples of leadership and influencing skills that you possess, and I'll touch on that a bit later. You need to be someone who knows how to foster and nurture strong relationships, networks, to create a positive change in society. But I think what's most important is we're looking for people who are problem solvers, solutions-oriented people, people who don't just sit back and see the world crumbling and they're not doing anything about it. People who lead the charge, people who say, no, I have to do something, I have to be part of the change that I want to see in society. People who ideally say, I want to solve some of the world's most pressing challenges. I want to be part of the change, contribute to solving some of the world's most pressing challenges. You must be a citizen of Uganda with a valid passport. So Shivning has been partnering with over 160 countries since its inception, since 1983. And thankfully, Uganda has been a participating country since the program began. You need to have an undergraduate degree. I touched on that earlier. And by that I mean, if you're interested in this cycle, you should have graduated in October 2023 or before to be eligible for this year's academic cycle. You need to have a minimum of 2 years working experience. I've touched on this already. This can be in any capacity. It can be as an intern, as a volunteer, as a temporary member of staff, or even as a permanent member of staff, as long as you have the 2 years or longer after graduating from your undergraduate degree. And then you need to have outstanding future leadership potential. Potential is the key word, and I will touch on that a bit later. And I know my colleague Bruna will also add to what I have to say. The beauty with Shivning, it's a holistic program, one of the most inclusive programs in the world. It doesn't discriminate on age, doesn't discriminate on your social status, doesn't discriminate on your gender, or even on your field or subject of interest. So it's one of the most accommodative programs out there in the world. It covers your full tuition fees, so you have nothing to worry about as a Shivning scholar. So unlike other programs that might insist on partial payment, half payment, quarter payment, Shivning covers your full tuition fees while in the UK. The only disclaimer I can add to that is, in the event that you are interested in studying an MBA, the maximum Shivning will give you is £22,000 towards your tuition fees. So in the event that your MBA is slightly higher than that, you would be required to supplement to cover the remaining balance. You're given a monthly stipend. The monthly stipend covers your accommodation while in the UK. It covers your meals in the UK. It covers your in-country travel in the UK, as well as travel throughout Europe. Because we believe that as a Shivning scholar, you should explore, you should tour, you should be adventurous, really understand and visit other countries and learn about their cultures. Then you are also given additional grants to cover any essential expenditure. This could be from medical to any other expenditure that you might incur during your time in the UK. But I think most importantly, Shivning really unlocks so many opportunities for you. As a student, as a scholar in the UK, you'll be invited to a vast array of events and activities that range from professional events to social events. So the professional events could be symposiums, workshops, trainings, conferences. Social events could be touring the beautiful sights and sounds of the UK, museums, stadiums, and you name it. And all this is aimed at exposing you to peers, like-minded individuals in your sector who are doing great work in your sector, who are maybe slightly more advanced in terms of practice, in terms of impact, and these are the people that you're going to be rubbing shoulders with. You're going to be learning, hearing, exchanging from the best of the best. And that's a beautiful thing, I think, to celebrate. Also, as a Shivning scholar, you'll be allowed to work for up to 20 hours per week, either as a temporary member of staff or volunteer in maybe a law firm or in any other sector of your choosing in the UK to gain experience, to be productive as a student, to learn best practices, and of course come back and apply those here in Uganda. Very important to note, Shivning is not trying to create brain drain for Uganda. We are not trying to reduce the talent that we have in our beautiful country. Actually, it is the reverse. For us, we believe that you must, and in fact, it's in the contract that you sign before you travel to the UK. You must return to Uganda. It's mandatory upon completion of your master's degree. Come back for a minimum of 2 years and impact Uganda positively, because you've gained the skills, you've gained the exposure, you've gained the experience. Now you need to come back and apply that to our country, to your sector. The beauty with Shivning is you're going to join a global network of over 60,000 supportive global leaders, like I said earlier, like-minded individuals, game changers, movers and shakers of society. That's the kind of network you're going to be joining. And imagine saying that I'm part of the Shivning brand, Shivning network, where of the 60,000 I've talked about, 20 of those are former presidents or current presidents of their respective countries. We have prime ministers, we have proprietors of civil society organization on there, we have human rights activists, we have climate activists, we have engineers, we have doctors, we have journalists. As I said earlier, Shivning is one of the most inclusive programs. We embrace diversity. And that's the kind of network you will be joining. As an alumni, you will be expected to contribute, both at a global level and at a national level, where our expectation is you're an active member of the association. Thankfully, Uganda has a Shivning Alumni Association of Uganda. The association is 6 years old now. It began in 2019. So this is its 6th year of operation. And every year, the alumni are expected to give back to society in some shape or form, because that's what Shivning is all about. Leaders who are going to make an impact in society. So as an alumni, as a group, you are expected to implement projects on an annual basis that give back to society. Thus far, the alumni network in Uganda has done projects ranging from waste management to inclusive education, to supporting refugees in urban centers. Recently, they ran one on governance and leadership, and this year they'll be doing a project again on waste management. So as an alumni, you're expected to come back, immerse yourself in that association, propose ideas, initiate some projects, be part of the beautiful impact they're making in society. Uganda is blessed to have over 300 Shivning alumni to date, and that number continues to grow year in, year out. Bruna is amongst the wonderful alumni that we are very proud of. And I have to say, we have very many lawyers in the Shivning alumni. Very, very many. Proud people that you'd be proud of. We have Miriam Matembe, who is a former Minister of Ethics and Integrity. She's amongst us. We have Dr. Livingstone Sewanyana. He's also a former Shivning scholar. Bruna Acham, who will be coming after me, is also amongst, and there are very many other lawyers. Some of the names have even skipped my mind. But the reason I insisted on coming here today, we cannot have a cycle of Shivning where we don't have the brilliance of lawyers, where we don't have your brilliance amongst our base. Every lawyer who writes a Shivning application, brilliant, mind-blowing, exceptional. There's something about you guys that's incredible. You know how to package yourself, you know how to write, you know how to express yourselves, you know how to position yourself as change makers. And that is exactly what Shivning is looking for. So I was feeling a certain type of way of not being here, and I'm glad that it has finally come to pass. We also have the current Prime Minister of Namibia, who is also a Shivning alumni. And the reason I'm mentioning all these names and titles is to show you, you're not just joining any group, any random group, any ordinary group. You're joining an exceptional group of leaders, change makers, people with clout, people who are making impact. And who wouldn't want to be part of that kind of revolution? Who wouldn't want to say, I am also amongst the change makers of tomorrow? And that's what Shivning does for you. It adds that element of energy, of zeal, of brilliance, of excellence for you to come back, be an influencer, which you rise into, grow into, because of the exposure, the experience you'd have gained from the UK. You come back to Uganda as a different, better version of yourself. Timelines. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Today is Thursday, the 2nd of October. The deadline for the application is the 7th of October. 5 days. I know it's scary, I know it's limited time, but you can do it. I have never been an advocate for last-minute work or panic or pressure. I really hate it personally. But if you are compelled, if you've been somewhat touched by my presentation today, if it has really entered your soul and you feel like you could be the next Shivning scholar, I urge you to apply now. As I said, lawyers are brilliant. I do not want to get to early next year and I don't even see a single lawyer in the interviews. That would be a terrible gap, terrible gap. And I know you have all it takes. We have over 50, if I'm not mistaken, lawyers within the 300 overall for Uganda. And that's about what, a fifth of the Shivning alumni are lawyers. So you have to grab this opportunity right now. If you feel you're at a time in your life, in your career, where you need to sharpen, be better, and you need a platform to become a greater version of yourself, a better professional, Shivning is the place for you. Listen and listen carefully to the last bit of my presentation. So the timelines are as follows. I've told you the deadline is 7th of October, 2025, 2 p.m. East African time. 2 p.m. East African time. You must submit your application online by 2 p.m. East African time. As I said, the Shivning application journey is quite long. It takes roughly the same time as a woman's pregnancy, which is 9 months. So you'll have to wait a little bit for a final decision. What happens, phase 1 is the assessment. So all the applications from Uganda will be read, assessed, sifted by an independent reading committee based in the UK. That reading committee will then send Uganda a sizable number of applicants to either further review or further assess before we choose our shortlist. So imagine if we have about 3,000 from Uganda this year. That reading committee might downsize that from 3,000 to 100. Those 100 will be further assessed by another independent reading committee based here in Uganda, and then we will downsize that from 100 to about 50 to 60 people. Now those 50 or 60 people will be invited for interview. When you're invited for interview, you have 50% chance of getting the scholarship. But out of the 50, we only give about 20 the opportunity to go and study in the UK under the Shivning Scholarship. So it's extremely competitive, but 100% worth it, especially if you have what it takes to go the last mile. To mention that interviews will happen next year, March and April respectively. After that, if you are successful, you'll be informed by June or July next year. And then in August or September of next year, you're flying out to begin your year as a Shivning scholar. Important to note, Shivning is a physical program. You must be physically present in the UK. You cannot ask for distance learning or remote learning or online learning. You have to take leave. If you're employed somewhere, you have to take leave for about 12 months to 16 months, such that you're able to concentrate and really fully dig in to the culture of the UK. So physical it is. We will not accept remote learning, unfortunately. Quickly on statistics before I hand over back to the moderator. Shivning partners with over 160 universities in the world. And these are great universities. University of Oxford, University of Cambridge. When we hear those names, don't we feel some type of way? Yeah, we would all want to be alumnuses of those particular universities. And those universities are partner universities with Shivning. So you can't fail to identify a university that appeals to you, that you're endeared by, whose criteria you can meet. Because I must mention, when you're applying for Shivning, you also need to simultaneously, independently apply to a minimum of 3 universities on your own, all of which are on the Shivning website, which I'll share with you in the next few minutes. So the simultaneous bit is important. You must apply to both the scholarship and the universities. You don't need an admission from any of the universities by the 7th of October. But sometime early next year, especially around the time of the interview, March, April, we expect that you would have at least secured 1 admission from any of those universities. Please don't pay any admission fee, don't pay any placement fee, don't pay a coin to anyone. As I said, Shivning is one of the most transparent, inclusive programs. If anything, the only money you're going to spend this period is your data. There's nothing else we're going to ask you for because it's merit-based. We're not going to ask you for brown envelope so that we can give you the scholarship. That doesn't happen with Shivning. It's a purely merit-based scholarship. So if the universities ask you for admission fee or placement fee, tell them you're a Shivning applicant awaiting response to your application, and then they will back off as you wait for mid next year to get the final decision on your scholarship. Out of the 60,000 alumni that Shivning has globally, 99% of those say they are satisfied with where they are today in their lives. They're satisfied with their impact, they're satisfied with who they've become, they're satisfied, which I think is an incredible percentage, if you ask me. You'll be invited for numerous events. I talked about that earlier. Exclusive events, volunteering events, professional events, social events that will change you, change your perspective, change your thought process, change you for the better. The beautiful thing about Shivning, it's been over 40 years of developing future leaders. Shivning is now in its 42nd year, and as I said earlier, 60,000 global leaders, over 300 Ugandans, 50 of whom are lawyers. That's incredible. And last but not least, it's a life-changing opportunity. It really is. I'm not just saying that because I'm here. It actually really is. It will really elevate you. It will really build you, help you become a much, much better change maker than you are today. With that said, I'd like to thank you for listening. Hand back to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Tina. You have so much energy, as you said in your CV, and indeed we have felt the energy. We're so grateful. This is a very interesting opportunity. Whoever thought it would be coming to us by way of the Radical New Bar? Thank you so much once again for the details. We had heard of it, those who of course are informed, and of course we also respect that information is not everywhere. We are also in position to guarantee that this will be in commemoration of the World Teachers Day, as you've said. We're trying to establish relationships, we're trying to grow global networks, and we're trying to ensure that the ULS is relevant in the citizens' lives. Apart from lawyers, as you've heard, it's open to non-lawyers. It is also a very competitive opportunity that one has to take, because the next speaker after this is one of the alumnus and has also been a part of the Uganda Law Society trail in as far as work was concerned. She has been a very, very key player in the establishment of one of the clinics of the Uganda Law Society. ULS has 22 clinics all over the country, and one of them is in Moroto, across the country in the Far East. And the next speaker is not very new to the Uganda Law Society house, and we are going to be hearing from the experience, what she felt like, how it moved for her, how she began, and what she has experienced in there, and what it has been like before and after. Madam Tina has given us the website that we can use to apply. If you don't mind, I will read it. www.chevening.org/apply. I repeat, www.chevening.org/apply. Is that right? Yeah, so members, we have 4 to 5 days to use to try to give it a shot. And the very interesting one is that you don't have to be online, you have to physically travel, and you can be sure that Ugandans want to travel. The other is that you get another opportunity to also work. Okay, you have some few hours to do and establish yourself in the work areas of the UK, and you're paid for the same. It's not something that you're not going to be paid for. And I also did some research that shows that you will be in position to benefit by interacting with over 50 to 60,000 individuals from different nationalities, backgrounds, professions, and walks of life. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very honored to have this today, because whereas it could have come not necessarily the earliest, but God's timing is always perfect. If the Lord has prepared this opportunity for you, it is going to be yours, and all you have to do is have some data and go to the website, apply, and see what the Lord does. Remember, pray until something happens, and that is what Ugandans are about. Make sure you push for this opportunity. We are going to go straight away to listen into one of the alumnus who is a part of us. As I said, she is an advocate of the courts of judicature in Uganda with a specialty in enhancing access to justice for marginalized and vulnerable groups, particularly women and children. With over a decade of experience in legal aid litigation, she advocates for and promotes the rights of undeserved communities. She has led groundbreaking initiatives, including championing the establishment of Karamoja's first holistic legal aid service provider under the Uganda Law Society, Justice Centers Uganda in Mbale, mentoring youth to become champions of social justice, and enabling over 1,000 indigent persons to access justice. She's the founder of Femme Justice for Women's Legal and Economic Empowerment, the chairperson of Karamoja Rights Advocates Network, and the board secretary of the Women Human Rights Defenders Network Uganda. She is passionate about empowering vulnerable communities, and through her work, she equips rural women and girls with legal knowledge, tools, and confidence to assert their rights. She holds an LLM in International Human Rights Law and Practice from the University of York, where her research centered on the role of legal aid in advancing women's rights. She is an alumnus of Chevening Scholarship and Mandela Washington Fellowship. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me welcome Miss Bruna Patricia Acham, who is going to be addressing us online. Thank you so much. Miss Bruna, are you there with us? Are you there with us, Miss Bruna? Miss Bruna, sorry about that. Miss Bruna, can you hear us? Miss Bruna, can you hear us? All right, thank you. May you please shoot.
Members of the Secretariat. I want to start by saying that the Uganda Law Society nurtured me and gave me the ability to walk. And Chevening gave me the wings to fly. And so, just like Tina said, it's a life-changing opportunity that I would wish everyone to benefit from or to partake of, because it gives you the necessary and rightful exposure as a professional. You get to belong to a network of key professionals and scholars in the different fields. During my time, I had the opportunity to interact with different professionals from different nations. And so the network is so large that you have so much to pick up from. For a brief introduction, I joined the Chevening Association, the scholarship program in 2022. Okay, there is feedback from that side. So I'm an alumna of the Chevening scholarship program, and I was in the cohort 2022-2023. That means that I started my master's program in September 2022, and I was placed at the University of York. rightly as stated by Tina, the Chevening Scholarship gives professionals or leaders an opportunity to study their master's program in prestigious universities that are globally recognized within the UK. And just to state that there are quite a number of legal professionals that have benefited from the Chevening Scholarship. I'll start with Justice Kiriagwide. He's a judge in the Court of Appeal. There is Jonathan Ochom. He is right now with Transparency International. He's in Germany. There is Angela Asimwe. She's a very vocal international human rights lawyer. Then even those in the commercial or who specialize in commercial law, we have the likes of Alex Matovu of Signam Advocates and Dr. Miria Matembe, like Tina had already stated. And so there are so many professionals that have benefited from the Chevening Scholarship. So just to state that it's a transformational opportunity that I believe I would wish for everyone to partake of. Why do I say so? As a young professional, when I joined or applied for the Chevening Scholarship, I had ideas of what it would be like. I had ideas of how much it would benefit me. But what I did not see was the enormous opportunities that would come up from this scholarship. And I want to tell you that just from this scholarship, my life was transformed completely. When I joined the University of York, courtesy of Chevening Scholarship, I had an opportunity to work with the UN Special Rapporteur for contemporary forms of slavery and have my work published on the UN website as a submission to the UN Special Rapporteur on contemporary forms of slavery. So it was moving from a national level into an international space. So the Chevening Scholarship opens up numerous opportunities for individuals. Secondly, I had the opportunity to work for the Center for Applied Human Rights. And for this, we worked together with leading professionals in the human rights sector to develop an advocacy strategy for women human rights defenders in Myanmar. This is an opportunity I don't think I would have had if I did not have this opportunity from the Chevening Scholarship. And so from my experience, I believe that this is something that every professional should vie for. Give it a shot. And if you give it your best and put forward your best foot, it is certain you will get it. I am not the kind of person that has, in Uganda we like to say gambanogu. You have people, you have connections and all those things. For those that know me at the Secretariat, know that I am not from, I do not really have connections per se. But to confirm what Tina said, this is a merit-based scholarship. And it's not about who you know, it's not about the region you come from, and it's not about your gender. It's just about your leadership ability. It's about impact. What impact have you had in the different communities that you're in? It need not be about the titles that you have held. Because if it were about titles, then I certainly wouldn't have benefited from this. I wouldn't have been chosen for the scholarship. So it is more about the human face to the works that you're doing in your communities. How impactful, how influential is it? And is it something that is evidence-based? Can they see it? Can they feel it in your writing? So to be able to Tina has said most of the things about the Chevening Scholarship, and I want to talk about now, if you have decided that you want to go for this, how do you sell yourself out that you become one of the outstanding applicants to get yourself to the next level? And I would like to state that as lawyers, we know that storytelling is an art, right? And to be able to tell a good story, we must be persuasive and compelling. That is what our trial advocacy is all about, being able to tell a compelling story and convince the judge of what your position is. So in the same way, for the Chevening Scholarship, it's about convincing whoever is going to read your application, telling them that you are the best of the best amongst everyone that they see. So what does this entail you to do? It requires you to be able to tell your story in a way that, I want to put it this way, in a STAR technique. What was the situation at hand? What was the problem that your community was or is facing? What tasks did you undertake to deal with that particular problem that the community is facing? And in the task that you have decided to take, what actions now did you implement to deal with that situation? And finally, what was the result? Because at the end of the day, Chevening is interested in leaders, and we all know that leadership is about influence. Leadership is about impact. So the result, what is the impact that your actions have had in the community? What change has it caused in that specific community? So it is not about the title. You may be a volunteer in your law firm or in the legal aid sector, or even at the Secretariat of the Uganda Law Society. But in your capacity as a volunteer, what impact has your work had on people around you? What creations or innovations have you made to benefit others around you, a community? Because like I said, it's about putting a human face to the work that you're doing. How beneficial is it for a larger group of people? So in crafting your essay, that is if you decide to take it up, I believe that you should be able to reveal your impact, demonstrate the end goal of all the works that you're doing. And once that is taken into, once you have done that, then you certainly would stand a very strong chance to be able to get to the next level and to qualify for the next level. And so for me, that was something that I did. I crafted my essays in such a way that I was able to show the impact that I've had in the different communities. Being a legal aid professional, I showed the impact that my work has had in Karamoja and in Rnblive, all the regions that I have worked. That is my experience. And I believe that from my own experience, it would be beneficial for you to do the same, to stand chances to get this scholarship. The other thing that I would like to say is that, like Tina said, Chevening is all about a forecasted person, a visionary leader. Are you the kind of person that is seeking for an opportunity just for self-benefit, or you're seeking out to empower yourself with knowledge to be able to benefit others? Because Chevening would want to know, what is your career plan? How do you plan to use whatever information, whatever skills you have acquired to benefit your community? We said already, leadership is about influence, it's about impact. So these skills, this knowledge, the networks that you create, how are you going to bring it down on ground to be able to benefit people? And so those would be things that you would be able to sell yourself with in your scholarship application. And from my experience, my ability to demonstrate that after acquiring the necessary skills and knowledge, I would be able to come back to Uganda to empower a lot more youth and to empower human rights professionals with skills to do advocacy in their communities, and to empower women as well to stand up and speak up for themselves. I believe that these are things that gave me an edge in the application process and enabled me to get to the next level and become a scholar at the end of it all. So from my experience, I would like to encourage each one of you to consider putting your best foot forward and give the Chevening Scholarship a shot, because it is a merit-based scholarship. It will give you an opportunity to network with key professionals globally. Like I said, I had opportunities to work with key professionals, the UN Special Rapporteur on contemporary forms of slavery, something that I would never have done if I had stayed in Uganda. And like Tina said, it actually unlocks opportunities. Early this year, I had a professor from the University of Queen Mary University of London reaching out to me on the basis of one was the fact that I was a Chevening scholar, but two was the impact of the kind of work that he had seen that I had done. And because of that, Queen Mary University offered me a PhD, gave me a PhD offer to study a specific program. It is not something that I had gone seeking for, but they looked out for an individual they saw somewhere. And so these are opportunities that Chevening unlocks for you. It gives you an edge over all other professionals and creates vast, enormous opportunities. It gives you a voice. It gives you wings to fly. And I would really want to encourage each one of us to give this a shot. As members of the Uganda Law Society, there are quite a number of things that we have done or that we do continuously in the community, ranging from representing indigent persons in courts, or even generally enabling people enjoy the benefits of their litigation. Helping people, simplifying laws for people, advocating for the underprivileged, and also, when it comes to policy making and all that, we have contributions that we continuously make. And these are things that the Chevening Scholarship would be interested in. They would be interested in taking up people that have had influence in the different sectors. It's not only about the human rights sector. I mentioned earlier advocates that have benefited from this program. And if you look at the scope, they're from different specialties. There are those in the legal aid sector, there are the human rights lawyers, and then there are those that have been in the commercial field. They do commercial law and all that kind of thing. And so it's not limited to human rights lawyers only. It's open to everyone. And I know that at the Secretariat, I think I saw Martha somewhere there in the background. Even those who are in the finance sector, we have people that who are professionals either in banks or anywhere else, and all have benefited from the scholarship program. So I want to encourage us all to take this up. My story could actually be your story 2 years from now. It's not about, it may seem like it's a short time right now to be able to, but like Tina said, you don't need to have a university offer at the moment. At the time that I applied for the scholarship, I remember I learned about Chevening from a colleague. We actually met at a wedding in October, and it was just a few days to the submission deadline. The submission deadline then was in November the 7th, and this wedding was on the 12th of October. And so when he talked to me about this scholarship, I gave it a shot. I sat down, crafted my essays, and submitted it. But by that time, I had not applied to any university. That meant that I didn't have any offer. But I had, between the 12th of October and the submission date, I did research on universities that I believed that I would want to go and study in. And so I knew the universities that I wanted to go to, and these are the things that I indicated in my essay. But as to whether I had an offer from those specific universities, no. So I submitted my application by the 7th of November, I think 7th or 2nd November. And after submission of my application, that is when I started my university applications. But just like God would be on one side, I got the offer letters for the university, and finally I got the Chevening scholarship. But also at the same time, I didn't have a passport. it was because of chevening that I ended up getting a passport. I remember during the interview period when the panel asked, should have been Tina who asked me if I already had a passport. I was worried that that would fail me from progressing to the next stage. I was honest, I didn't have any, but that did not deter my success. I still was successful regardless of whether I had a passport or not. So this is to encourage you, whether you have a university offer or not yet, you still have time. You can be able to submit your application by the 7th of October, and then start off with your university applications. And if you give this your best and put your best foot forward, tell your story in a compelling and persuasive manner, clearly showing impact and influence that you have had in your community, trust me, you'll be the next chevening scholar that we shall see and celebrate. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
All right, thank you so much. A round of applause for Bruna. Thank you so much, Advocate Bruna. We have heard you loud and clear. You didn't seem to want to end the experience. It is something that is not found anywhere. It is also an opportunity for you to be a change maker. If you have the potential and you're confident that you can deliver on making the world a better place, this is one of the opportunities you have. Like we said, the most important information apart from bringing it to us is the deadline. We don't want to be caught off guard. We have 5 days to make that application, and if you are already persuasive and compelling, there you go. It is up to time for you to be competitive. You don't need to have a passport per se. As you prepare, you can only first write your essay and submit it, and then start to work backward at worst if you really don't have the things that have been asked for. But of course, it's also a call for us to be ready for such opportunities. As we are citizens, there are some things, especially those that have gone to school, it's very important for you to be ready and have such documents that are required for these opportunities. Bruna, thank you so much. Like we said, you are already one of us, and we actually get it better understandable when you're speaking to us, because we have seen you, and it's no longer the fact that you don't have connections, because now you're telling us you're dealing with people from the UK, you're dealing with people from the US, and that for us already means you have connections, and that is what God can do. But also, more importantly, that is what the chevening scholarship can do. Ladies and gentlemen, let's brace ourselves for this opportunity. I'm sure if we did apply, never know, one of us, two of us, they want a maximum of 20, one of us or two of us can be the winning person. We shall have questions and answers after the session of the teachers, which of course is now speaking much more into what has just been shared. Education in Uganda. World Teachers Day, which is celebrated on the 5th October, is a moment to reflect on the invaluable role of teachers in reaching out and shaping societies and nurturing the next generation. And globally, the UNESCO reminds us that quality education cannot exist without motivated, supported, and fairly remunerated teachers. Yet today, the teaching profession faces profound challenges, particularly in developing countries, especially Uganda, where we are. And as we commemorate the World Teachers Day under the theme, "The Teachers We Need for the Education We Want," we are reminded that teachers are not just transmitters of knowledge, they are nation builders, mentors, and champions of social transformation. So investing in teachers in Uganda's future is exactly what is expected of ruling governments, and the fact that we have a very important day to celebrate as the country joining the world, we need to be asking ourselves some very critical questions, like how can we celebrate Teachers' Day with poems and speeches while the very teachers we honor are in the streets demanding for bread? If a country's budget is a mirror of its priorities, what does it say about us when our teachers are on strike? I am personally a beneficiary of a teacher. My mother is a retired teacher. I've seen her walked through the trenches, and personally that matter touches me very, very much. We have been joined by a member of UNATU who I went to school with, Mr. Richard Mwevaze, who is a legal personality in UNATU. So I have a very deep attachment to this topic, and we are wondering, and want bridges and lawyers defend justice. Who made all this possible in the first place if it were not teachers? If doctors save lives, if engineers build bridges, if lawyers defend justice, who made them all possible to do this work if it were not for teachers? So can we really expect that the hands that shape tomorrow's leaders to do so with an empty pocket and a heavy heart? Ladies and gentlemen, let us not take this topic lightly. We all have brothers and sisters, relatives and friends who are in school. We all have a heart for school because we have all been through school. The reason we are seated within these four walls is because we went to school. And only in school you get teachers. So it is very absurd that amidst all this that is going on, as we try to commemorate the World Teachers' Day in Uganda, our teachers have laid down their tools. Very recently, around 5 months ago, the lawyers in Masaka and the Masaka chapter of the ULS laid down their tools. But we don't want to compare lawyers and teachers. While the lawyers laid down their tools for reasons that they fronted to the judiciary, it was handled, at least with the help of the Uganda Law Society coming through. We had interactions with the judiciary, and as we talk, there is progress. As part of the celebration of the Rule of Law Week, we went and visited the Masaka bar, and we got some positive report that we reported to the members and to the public. But this is very different because the Masaka Uganda Law Society chapter laid down tools as themselves. This is a national strike of teachers. This means that our siblings, our brothers, our sisters, our relatives, our uncles, aunties, those that are teachers, are laying down their tools. And we got recently to hear from the minister just in today's news that they were also given an ultimatum to resume school, which is not necessarily a very good thing. We would like to take this opportunity to listen in from officials that are charged with managing the affairs of teachers away from the government. And before we go any further, we would like to welcome you once again for being in our presence. It's very important that we have the speakers that are here because they are going to speak deep into what we want to hear. And before we go any far, we're going to want to welcome an individual who is currently employed at Uganda National Commission for UNESCO in the Ministry of Education and Sports as an Assistant Secretary General responsible for the education program and is the focal point for education for sustainable development and global citizenship education flagship programs designed by UNESCO to equip learners with knowledge, skills, and values to take up a proactive role in building peaceful, tolerant, and sustainable societies. Does research work with a vast experience in education management at national level. He is a trained teacher, just like my mother. He is a parent. Obviously, that of course makes him not any different from my mother. And we would like to hear from Mr. Twebaze David from the UNESCO, who's going to take us through the challenges that we are going through, but also help us commemorate the World Teachers' Day. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Twebaze. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my brother and my son. I say your mother was a teacher. She's my colleague. To the chair of UNATU and your colleague, the management of Uganda Law Society, represented by my sister there, the members who are present, ladies and gentlemen, Good afternoon. Thank you. As you have been informed, my name is David Twebaze. I am the Assistant Secretary General responsible for the education program at Uganda National Commission for UNESCO. The National Commission for UNESCO is a department in the Ministry of Education and Sports, created in 1963 when Uganda achieved its independence, and we are celebrating 63 years of existence. We shoulder the work of UNESCO in this country. We represent the interests of UNESCO in Uganda, and at the same time, we promote the interests of government in UNESCO. The day we are celebrating the World Teachers' Day was designated by UNESCO to recognize the contribution of teachers toward sustainable development and forging an equitable future. It is a day that teachers showcase their achievements, and it's a day that we advocate for teachers' rights. This is a day that we recognize the impact of teachers in shaping an individual. We look at a teacher as a facilitator of learning, as a guide, as a leader, as a mentor, and somebody responsible for character formation. They are molders. They shaped us in what we are and are responsible for the future of the world. They can either build a generation or destroy a generation. Now, the World Teachers' Day is dedicated to recognize and celebrate the invaluable contribution of teachers around the globe. And this year's theme is recasting the teaching profession as collaborative profession. And this theme invites us to reflect on the critical role the teachers play, supported by different collaboration platforms. We must embrace a model where teachers collaborate not only with one another, but also with learners, parents, communities, and various stakeholders. In Uganda, we have made significant strides in recognizing the importance of collaboration in educating our young people. However, there remains much work to be done, and the teaching profession stands at a pivotal moment in history. There are challenges that Unatu will share with us. As we strive to deliver high-quality education, let us reframe our understanding of what it means to be an educator. When we speak of collaboration, we are not only referring to partnerships among teachers, but also to a collective responsibility for nurturing the next generation. We are talking about collaboration, and that means that it is our role, including Uganda Law Society, to develop support systems. And for Uganda Law Society, I think your niche is about legal frameworks developed to support a teacher's work. We have a teacher's bill that is stuck in Parliament. I would therefore request the Law Society to be part of our family to fast track the approval of the teacher's bill in Parliament. And teachers are leaders, mentors, and guides. They have the incredible power to inspire and engage their learners by sharing ideas, strategies, and resources. Many of us here talk like our teachers used to talk. We walk the way they used to walk. We laugh the way they used to laugh. We have that feeling of our teachers that follows us up to our graves. We never forget them because they influenced our character. They influenced our behavior. They are part of us forever. The world must respect this noble profession, the teaching profession. Collaboration extends beyond the classroom. It encompasses partnerships with parents, community organizations, local governments, and the private sector. As we work together to break and build a comprehensive support system for our teachers, we must engage parents as active partners in educational processes because their involvement is vital for fostering a positive learning environment. Last year, during one of the PTA meetings in St. Joseph's, Nagala Maeses, you know that school, the head teacher, in her report, said, "Parents, stop abusing my teachers." I felt so bad. She repeated, "Parents, stop abusing my teachers." We are now talking about creating collaborative platforms for teachers. Platforms that would support the teachers to perform. You know, there are very rich parents in that school. They perform very well. There are so many learners. For every service in the school, you have to line up. Students are checked, suitcases are checked, one by one. But the impatient, rich parents abuse. They say, "Yanku yako nawe, totumalira budde." You know such words. Eh? And you are now bringing your child, handing over her or him to this teacher, the very teacher you are abusing. And we have abdicated our roles as parents, handing over these children to the teachers. These are the very people who are forming the characters of these children, our children. Maybe because your mother was a teacher, that forms part of your character. The patience I see in you, the excellent communication skills you exhibit here, could be partly because your mother was a teacher. This is a noble cause, this is a noble profession that we must support, that the legal system must support, that the Ministry of Education and Development partners must support. UNESCO is doing a lot in supporting the teaching profession. Uganda has a national teachers policy. Its development was supported by UNESCO. And we have put in place we have supported a number of frameworks to support teachers, especially in teacher training. The teachers are important when we talk about ensuring inclusive, equitable, quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. The teacher is at the center. The teacher is at the center. When we talk about Sustainable Development Goal 4 on quality education, the teacher is at the center of it is the main actor. We must respect the teachers. We must support them. They are now agitating for extrinsic motivation. But intrinsic motivation is very, very important. Yes, money is part of the hardware, but the software is also very important for the teacher. I'll give an example of a teacher who serves in a private school and earns about 400,000 in a private school. At the end of it all, the results are good. The results are good. And somebody in a public school that earns 500,000, at the end of the year, the results are not good. There are other factors. It is not only the hardware, but also the software. It is our collective responsibility to support these teachers. One time I asked my son, he's now in senior 4, kindly find out, he was performing so well in mathematics. I asked him, kindly find out the birthday of your mathematics teacher. He'd come and tell me. Came and told me. What I did, I bought a cake. 80,000 shillings, 80,000, a cake. On that day, I said, you take it to your teacher, celebrate with him his birthday. This man was happy. 80,000, a cake worth 80,000. Was happy. He's part of our family friends as we talk. Became a family friend. This is the collaboration we are talking about, a parent to a teacher. Some of you are parents, some of you are potential parents. When that time comes, please reduce that gap between you and that teacher who handles your child. That is the part of the intrinsic motivation for the teachers and the collaboration that we are talking about. Be very close. Know what happens to them after the classroom. As parents, let us see beyond the classrooms, beyond the environment in which these teachers serve. Let us know them. Let us understand them. It will motivate them. I call upon all stakeholders, government, educational institutions, non-profit organizations, and the community members to work in unison to support our educators. Investing in their professional development, advocating for their rights, and providing adequate resources cements our commitment to forging strong and collaborative teaching profession. As we reflect on the theme, recasting the teaching profession as a collaborative profession, let us remember that our future, the future of our children, hinges upon how we collectively view and support our educators. The collaboration model will not only enhance the teaching profession, but also foster a robust education system that is responsive to the needs of our society. There is no country that can be better than the quality of its teachers. And there is no country that can be better than the quality of its education system. The monopoly of LODC has been lifted, and we are worried about the quality of our lawyers in the future. It is time for us to discuss about these developments. We are worried as educators about the quality of our lawyers in the future. To our teachers, as we will celebrate the World Teachers' Day, we salute your resilience, your dedication, and unwavering commitment to the growth of our nation. Know that you are not alone in this journey. You are part of a vibrant community of educators, all working to uplift and empower the next generation. Let us work together towards a brighter future, one where the collaboration of educators shines as a beacon of hope. Together, we can transform education in Uganda, ensuring that every child has access to quality learning and opportunities they deserve. Thank you so much to our teachers. We celebrate your achievements. I wish all of us a happy World Teachers' Day to all. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Uncle David, who also shares a name with my sibling, David Jurua. So, Uncle David, everything that is about you has so much to do with me. Miss Adania Dorcas is my mother, who is now a retired teacher. She was teaching at Makshon Bay Primary School in Luzira. Before that, she was in Kiswa Primary School in Bogolovi. Before that, she was at Mbuya Church of Uganda Primary School. We grew up in Bogolovi, and she has been the bedrock of my success thus far. And we don't take it for granted. I'm a child of that very powerful lady, wherever you are. May God bless you, and thank you so much for handing the mantle. And as we celebrate World Teachers Day and commemorate World Teachers Day, I commemorate it with you, my lovely mother, and the other teachers. Thank you so much. Uncle David, thank you so much for your very, very inciting words. They are very deep. We thank you so much for, as well, bringing out a very critical aspect that you want us to take note of, and that is the collaborative aspect of how to address the challenges of the teachers. And that is exactly what the Uganda Law Society is here for, to help the government to administer justice. And for that matter, looking at the teachers, we are talking about the frameworks you've just spoken about. We are, of course, in the habit of taking note of such challenges that are brought forth to us. We host different professions, and teaching being a noble profession, the Teachers Bill, which is in Parliament, we are very sure to use the mandate that we have with the guidance of the Governing Council to follow it up and make sure we get back to you and seek further guidance on how best we can be of support to you. The aspect of teachers being looked down upon by parents is very absurd. It is very unwelcome. It is very inhumane. It is very demeaning. And this is a clarion call to all members of society. The lawyers, of course, we all know that we are children, and we have children, and we have potential parents in the house and in the public. It is only about humanity, for you to be human, to respect your teachers or the teachers of your children, because as he said, you leave school within 1 hour, and the rest of the 3 months are between you and the teacher, rather the child and the teacher. And if you have abused the parent, or rather the teacher, what do you expect the teacher to do with your child? And as we continue to look forward to the SDG number 4, quality education, we're trying to use this opportunity and platform to encourage the management of the UNATU to ensure that teachers get that remuneration, which of course is a dialogue between the teachers' body and the government. It has been ongoing for a while. This is not the first time that the teachers have laid down their tools. We have been present in this country, and we have witnessed all these things. But of course, it's never easy to rule a country. There's a lot of dialogue between different stakeholders. As we are together, let us try to pray for so much that happens from these deliberations. As the beacon of hope, offering quality learning is the role of teachers. We know that they are paid, of course, meagerly, but we are also aware that amidst that little pay, they have still dedicated themselves to teach. You can imagine what 80,000 shillings worth of a cake on a birthday of a teacher did to him, and the quality of education that he was willing to offer to the son just because he celebrated a birthday of a teacher, which is something that can be taken granted for, but it's a very deep thing. So we'd like to thank you, Uncle David, for making it here. We are very honored to have you. Thank you for your message. We shall hope to retain a copy of your message as it was written. We shall also want to feature it to the members and also put it in as many social media handles as we can, and we normally do. Adam is our communications manager. He has a background of teaching, and he has always told us whenever it's time for teachers to come here. We were celebrating the Day of the African Child. We came with a little team sometime back in June that made some presentations. There was MDD and some poetry. Adam was helping us to bring those people to us because his 2 children are in that school, and we had a very good time. So education and children can't be separated. So I want to thank you. May God bless you in the work that you're doing. May God bless your endeavors so as to see to it that teachers are given the respect that is due. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the final lap of our session. We thank you for continuing to be with us. And right about now, we are going to listen to a teacher by profession and practice. As we heard from from Bruna, who is an alumnus, we heard from that person that talks about the organization, but now we are going to hear from a teacher who joined the teaching profession in May 1994. I'm very sure some of you were not in the country, you are not born, especially the young ones, but he has been there from 1994 as a grade 3 teacher. He then upgraded and qualified as a grade 5 teacher in 2000. And thereafter, he was a graduate teacher at Makerere University in 2006. He obtained a Master's of Arts with Education in 2012 and went through the ranks of a classroom teacher, just like my mother, a deputy head teacher, just like my mother, and currently a head teacher at a primary school. He is one of the founder members of Uganda National Teachers Union, UNATU, who has participated in different leadership levels as below. Branch Secretary for Planning and Organizing for Kabale, Maine, that is 2006 and to 2011. A branch chairperson, UNATU, Kabale, Maine, that's 2011 to 2018. And he is currently the chairperson, the national chairperson, UNATU, that is from 2016 to date. Ladies and gentlemen, let us kindly welcome Mr. Zadok Tumuhimbise, who is the chairperson of UNATU, to listen into and pick some wisdom. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good morning, distinguished members of the Uganda Law Society, fellow Ugandans, colleagues in the teaching profession, members of the press present, and all partners present here today. As earlier said, my name is Zadok Tumuhimbise. I'm a teacher by profession and practice. And as the legal fraternity say that they are learned friends, we teachers, we say we are learning friends, because learning takes place day by day. On behalf of the Uganda National Teachers Union, I want to express our most sincere heartfelt appreciation to the Uganda Law Society for inviting us to this important forum, and more so for standing with us during this most difficult time. Your public condemnation of the threats to dismiss striking teachers was not only bold but constitutional. You did remind the nation that protecting rights and pursuing fairness is the true path to justice. For that, the teachers of Uganda say thank you. As teachers in Uganda, we continue to appeal to you to make an intervention in writing, in action, or other forms against those who have continued to intimidate teachers, such as the ministers, the RDCs, the LOCs, the CAOs, because as we talk today, this morning, the Minister of Public Service, Honorable Muruli Mukasa, appeared on Uganda media and was threatening teachers, giving them an ultimatum of 1 week to have returned to school, lest they would be dismissed for being absent from school without official leave. The RDCs, such as the acting RDC of Kumi, who has been threatening teachers and trying to arrest them. There are some cows who have been writing letters that contravene the provisions of the law. We have some police officers. Among those is the police commander, the DPC of Unyangabo, who has continuously called one of our members, a female teacher, to report to his office without justifiable cause. We are optimistic that you have all this mandate and the ability to do it. We shall remain so much grateful if this is done. World Teachers Day 2025. We meet here just 2 days before the world commemorates World Teachers Day on 5th October. This day is not just a mere ceremony. It is rooted in the 1966 ILO UNESCO recommendation on the status of teachers and the 1997 recommendation concerning higher education teaching personnel. And these are the global standards that set forth the rights, responsibilities, and dignity of teachers. This year's theme, recasting teaching as a collaborative profession, resonates with the current appalling working, teaching, and learning conditions the teaching profession in Uganda is going through. It's a powerful reminder that teaching is not an individual effort, but a collective calling. True quality in education emerges from cooperation, shared responsibility, and solidarity among teachers, among learners, the parents, and the policymakers. As UNESCO has rightly put it, collaboration is key to enhancing both teaching and learning practices, and to ensure that the teachers feel empowered to realize their vocation and achieve collective impact. What is Uganda's reality today? In Uganda today, collaboration in the teaching profession faces deep obstacles. The industrial action that is now in its 18th day is not a rebellion against service. It is a cry for equity, fairness, and dignity. In the financial year 2022-2023, Going against the collective bargaining agreement, which was signed in the year 2018 with UNATU and other public service unions, government enhanced salaries for one category of teachers, those who are teaching science subjects, to a tune of more than 300%, given in a single installment. Meanwhile, the majority of teachers in primary and post-primary schools and higher institutions of learning were told to wait. They have waited not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for 3-4 years as we talk. Most of these teachers last had salary enhancement in the financial year 2018-2019. Since July 2022, UNATU has written over a dozen formal letters. It has engaged in consultative meetings and exercised extraordinary patience. We suspended the industrial action in good faith, trusting that a dialogue would prevail. But every attempt was met with silence, postponement, or vague promises. Today, teachers are no longer asking for favors. They are asking for fairness. Allow me to share some of the current salary disparities to appreciate the depth of the issue at hand. The current salary for financial 2025-2026 is as below. We have category, we have salary scale, we have the science salary, and the arts counterpart salary, then you have the variance. Number one, we have principal comprehensive school, or principals of UCCs. They are in U1 SE. Currently, the scientists earn 10,622,398 shillings. The arts counterparts earn 2,900,000, leaving a variance or a difference of 7,722,398 shillings. Head teacher secondary, U1E. Those of science earn 6.5 million. The teachers who are arts earn 2,270,984 shillings, leaving a variance of 4,229,016 shillings. Deputy head teacher, who is in U2 secondary, earns 4.5 million. The one who did arts earns 1,631 shillings, 769 shillings, leaving a variance of 2,868,231 shillings. Senior education officer, who is paid in U3 and is teaching science, earns 4,250,000. The one teaching arts earns 1,218,041 shillings, leaving a variance of 31,959 shillings. Education officer earning in U4, that one teaching sciences earns 4 million. The one teaching arts earns 960,288 shillings, leaving a variance of 3,039,712 shillings. Assistant Education Officer in U5, teaching science, earns 2.2 million. The one teaching arts earns 745,000, leaving a variance of 1,455,000. In the case of primary, a head teacher at primary should be a graduate and is in U4. He earns 778,512 shillings. Deputy head teacher is in U5. He earns 662,165 shillings. Senior education assistant, that is U6, is earning 605,100 shillings. Education assistant, that is U7, is earning 499,684 shillings. Why do we think collaboration needs equity? Colleagues, we cannot talk of collaboration in the teaching profession while teachers are divided by pay scales that breed resentment and undermine solidarity. A profession fractured by inequity cannot inspire learners to work together. We have reports that in some schools, staff rooms have been divided along the lines of science and arts. The learners themselves have started having two different playgrounds. Those of arts have their side, those of sciences have their side. This is not the collaborative spirit our country desires. On the contrary, equitable enhancement for all teachers would, 1, restore unity in the profession, enabling teamwork and mutual support. 2, it would boost morale, which translates directly into better learning outcomes. 3, it would reinforce respect for school leadership, since disparities have undermined authority, as some of these teachers earn more than their supervisors, contradicting the public service standing orders, where you should not be supervised by someone who beats you in rank and salary. This would also address attrition, as demoralized teachers have left the profession and others are on the course of leaving the profession. In the year 2024, one of the core recommendations emerging from the UN Secretary General's high-level panel on the teaching profession was the need to promote teaching as a collaborative profession, supported by coherent systems throughout teachers' careers. Quality education is shaped by cooperation, shared responsibility, and professional solidarity. Unfortunately, our industrial action has been misunderstood by some. We have heard leaders say teachers are being selfish and not thinking about the learners. But colleagues, let us ask, is it selfish to demand equal pay for equal work? Is it selfish to insist that promises made 3 years ago must be honored? We have heard that we should be grateful because private school teachers earn less. But our question is, should we be thinking of the standard for public service to be set by the worst conditions in the private sector, or we should be striving to lift the entire profession to a level that reflects its importance to the nation. I've also heard that the president himself earns Uganda shilling 3.6 million shillings, and therefore teachers should not complain. But with respect, service to the nation must not be reduced to comparisons of sacrifice. Teachers are not just workers. They are nation builders. If the future of Uganda depends on education, then the dignity of teachers must be defended. Our call: what are the teachers asking for? 1, a clear, written and time-bound commitment by government to enhance salaries of the left-behind categories of teachers by not less than 300%. The government offer of 25% with a target of 77% given in 4 installments is very unfair when other teachers have been enjoying more than 300% for 3 years. We go to the same markets, we go to the same schools, we send our children to the same schools, and therefore that kind of variation is so unfair. 2, a recognition that education is a national priority and the disparities among our teachers must be settled once and for all. We need to bring harmony back into the teaching profession. 3, collaboration with policymakers. The social dialogue framework should be implemented such that issues concerning teachers are openly discussed with their representatives and agreements made are honored. If the CBA had been implemented as agreed, we would not be in this dilemma. A situation where someone sits and feels happy about people standing before him and the pronouncement of a salary enhancement is done, leaving out others, should actually be avoided. Colleagues, this is not only about teachers. It is about the millions of learners whose future are at stake. A demoralized teacher cannot inspire excellence, but a respected and motivated teacher can transform a classroom, a community, and a nation. In conclusion, as we mark World Teachers' Day, let us truly recast teaching as a collaborative profession. Collaboration begins with fairness. It thrives on respect, and it is sustained by solidarity. To our colleagues in civil society, in the legal fraternity, in the media, and in the wider public, continue to stand with us. The teachers who made you who you are today are counting on you to amplify their cause. Proudly united, committed, connected, and accountable to the members' cause. Because we are, the nation is, for God and my country.
Committed, connected, and accountable to the general public. Because we are, we would like to thank you, UNATO, for that very, very elaborate piece of information and presentation. We would like to identify with you, like we said in the beginning, the Uganda Law Society under the Governing Council would like to identify, associate, and offer support as you have called upon us, the media, the general public, and the Ugandan Law Society hereby stand with you and would like to let you know that in case of anything, we are at the Ugandan Law Society are very willing to support. We have had your call about the 300% enhancement as you've prayed. We also know that, as you said, we go to the same supermarkets, we go to the same markets, we drive on the same roads, not any different from the different teachers whose enhancement was made different. We are also aware, as you said in your call, about the 4 different installments, which are really not fair, because at the end of the day, it is the same schools, the same children, the same teachers, and the same individuals who are being taught and who are experiencing these unbecoming circumstances. We are also aware that the government is not necessarily in a good place to continually enhance salaries for different professionals, but the teaching profession is a humble one and a very noble one at that. We cannot close our eyes, we cannot lie down and pretend and act like nothing is going on, because the teachers are exactly the people that brought us to where we are, including the president of the country, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who went to school, obviously, and therefore he was taught by teachers. The government leaders, the students themselves are all a part of the beneficiaries to these individuals. So, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank you so much for being a part of this presentation and part of this day. We have come to the tail end of the function. As we said, we had a very small technical glitch which delayed us by 30 minutes, but right about now, we are going to go through a very short question and answer session to hear from the general public and the members that are watching us online, especially to hear what they have to say, if there are any comments, if there are any questions in the house, and the members that have made presentations are here willing to answer those questions. I could imagine not everything can be addressed in their write-up, but if you have any questions and comments, kindly feel free to ask questions. We got a question for Mr. Zadok from one Fred Ebinyu, who is saying, you have laid down the salaries teachers earn in their different categories. Has there been benchmarking in other East African countries? And should we advocate for harmonization in the region in light of the EAC integration? Is that clear, Mr. Zadok? Should I repeat it for you, please? He says, you have laid down the salaries teachers earn in their different subject categories. Has there been benchmarking in other East African countries? And should we advocate for harmonization in the region in light of the EAC integration? There is a question for Uncle David from one Liz Nancy, and she asks, how does UNESCO support education in Uganda, especially in terms of advocacy for government to financially support teachers? I'll say it again. How does UNESCO support education in Uganda, especially in terms of advocacy for government to financially support teachers? Yes, Okello Ivan has picked Council Richard out, and he's speaking from the discussion about the education bill, the teachers bill that is in Parliament. What steps has UNATU made to rally support from the public about the teachers bill? What steps has UNATU taken to rally support from the public in regard to the teachers bill? We'd like to take those if it's okay, without any order, if you don't mind, the microphones before you can be activated. You don't have to come back up front, but if you choose to come, it's still okay. There are microphones over there that can be activated without any order. You can kindly take it on. We also have a few questions for Miss Brunner that shall be asked after we have listened in from the teachers in the house. Adam said he had a question. We shall. You can ask your question later. Okay. Is it okay for us to proceed? There is no order, so we would want to go by the seniority.
Thank you so much. Mine is about whether we have been able to benchmark from other East African countries. Yes, as UNATU, we affiliate to different organizations at the regional, national, and global level. We are members of the Federation of the East African Teachers Unions, FIATU. We are members of the Education International Africa, and we are members of Education International globally. So our engagements focus on a number of things, including benchmarking. True, we have been able to benchmark, and as we talk now, Kenya has in place the Salary Harmonization Commission, and equally Tanzania has. And overall, when you compare the salary being paid to Ugandan teachers, especially those of humanities, and those salaries being paid to teachers in Kenya and Tanzania, Uganda lags behind. Two, when you now look at what is taking place in Uganda, you ask about whether such a benchmarking was made by the responsible offices before they chose to enhance salaries discriminatively. And therefore, it would be my request and advice that government takes it upon itself to benchmark and find out whether the approach it is going to put in place or to use will yield results for the good of the education of the Ugandan child. Otherwise, the disparities in salary enhancement will continue having challenges until a time when Ugandans will wake up and do what is better and good for the education of the Ugandan child, who are the guardians and parents of this nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Uncle David?
Thank you so much. The question was, how does UNESCO finance education in Uganda? Does it support advocacy? Yes. UNESCO is a UN agency responsible for education. It is a UN agency that is coordinating efforts to ensure that the Sustainable Development Goal 4 targets are achieved in the world among member states, including Uganda. So it designed a framework of action called Education 2030. Education 2030 is a framework that was designed to implement Sustainable Development Goal 4 targets. Sustainable Development 4 has 7 targets and 3 means of implementation. So, the way it is stated, to ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education, and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. That is our work in the education program. To ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education and promotion of lifelong learning opportunities. And this is supported by UNESCO. There are a number of strategies, a number of platforms a number of areas that UNESCO is coming into to support Uganda as a member state to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 4 on quality education. I'm going to break it down for the members to understand. Sustainable Development Goal 4 has 5 pillars. The first one is to ensure that education is promoted or it is delivered as a right. And UNESCO does a lot of advocacy to ensure that education is delivered as a right. The second pillar is on inclusion, that the education we deliver in Uganda is inclusive. And UNESCO has given us support in Uganda to ensure that the education delivered is inclusive. The third pillar is on equitable access, that our learners, despite their backgrounds, despite the other disadvantages, they are able to access education of good quality. We advocate for equitable access of education at all levels, including lifelong learning opportunities. The fourth pillar is, of course, quality, delivery of quality education. And UNESCO is doing a lot of work in supporting Uganda as a member state to ensure that the education delivered is of good quality throughout all the levels. And we have, of course, prioritized a number of systems to support teachers, to support curriculum development, to support the advancement of policies that would support what I have talked about, would support delivery of inclusive education, policies that will support delivery of quality education, policies that will support equitable access to education. UNESCO is doing a lot of advocacy. We have the National Commission for UNESCO that is representing the interests of government in UNESCO, and we have a country UNESCO office, a satellite office handling a number of programs supporting the Ministry of Education to ensure that it delivers quality education. So, in terms of supporting UNATU, yes, we have UNESCO put in place, actually, supported the development of a framework on teachers' dialogue. He talked about it. And we built capacities of the leaders in UNATU, ministry officials in the Ministry of Education and Sports, to support this business of talking to the teachers' dialogue. How, on the how, when, which kind of office bearers that can be used to actually ensure that teachers are in school, teachers are supported, teachers are heard, and up to now, UNESCO is giving support to UNATU and the other, there are other unions for teachers. There's one for humanities, there's one for, they are all supported because UNESCO cannot now separate, it's a support that is given to a member state of UN called Uganda. So there are a number of interventions, that are aimed at supporting those 5 pillars I've talked about: quality, inclusion, equitable access, and to drive these policies, like the teachers' bill in Parliament. UNESCO supported its development. Yes, UNESCO supported its development. We have a national teachers policy. UNESCO supported its development. So in terms of advocacy, yes, UNESCO is doing a lot of work, but on the other issue of, he said, is it payments? Financial support. Yes, we concentrate on the software. On capacity of systems and capacity of office bearers, on capacity of our teachers to deliver on quality education in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle David. Those are very critical things that, of course, you did not mention, but you mentioned in passing. If anybody was listening, your presentation alone also showed us that you're speaking about inclusivity, equitability, quality education, the teachers' bill, and the teachers' policy are all mentioned. If it only were important to any individual, you need to just take interest in UNESCO and understand better what they do by, of course, visiting their website and getting online to study more about what they do, because we know that we might not necessarily get all the information in one such kind of sitting. So members, kindly take interest in UNESCO, take interest in the individuals before us, Uncle David and Uncle Zadok. Now they are our uncles and our parents because they are teachers, they taught us, and now it's time to hear from them about what they have done. The next question is going to the legal brains that are in the house, who, in as far as UNATU is concerned. Advocate Richard, do you remember the question? Do you mind taking it on?
If I recall very well, member asked what steps are we taking as UNATU in as far as running members of the public to support the teachers' bill.
Yes, please.
First, I want to state that UNATU supports the teachers' bill because it seeks to professionalize the teaching profession in Uganda. However, to be specific to the question, the member asked what steps have we taken. I want to report that several public meetings were conducted and UNATU participated in those meetings and raised several issues, much as we support the bill, but it has some clauses that UNATU was not comfortable with, and we made our presentation to Parliament, and as a result of our presentation, I want to report you that this bill, I think, has been put to halt by Parliament pending understanding those issues that UNATU raised. It is a long story. If I'm to go through those details, it may need another whole session.
Yes.
But by and large is that whereas we support the bill, it must be harmonized with the real realities in this country to support the teacher. For example, one of the issues, if I may single out, one of the issues we are raising out, how do you say that you seek to professionalize teachers who are not very well remunerated? So those issues of remuneration must be handled in a tandem with the issues that are in the bill.
Yes.
So once after presenting all those issues, the Ministry of Education, I think recently I saw the Honorable Miyingo reported to Parliament that they had decided to first go back and study those issues before they can come back to Parliament and see how those issues can be addressed. Let me also use this opportunity to say that, to thank the Uganda Law Society. To be unfair to leave the microphone without thanking you for supporting the teachers' cause, the teachers' industry action. We really want to wholeheartedly thank you, and also use the same opportunity to call upon the Minister in charge of public service. That's not the way they resolve disputes between labor unions and employers. The statements that were made by the Minister in charge of public service this morning are very unfortunate, and they really they are not a step in the right direction to resolve the dispute between the teachers' union and government. So I would like to call upon the Minister to desist from intimidating the teachers, because they are pursuing the right cause, they are pursuing their rights. And the unfortunate part of it is that the people who should be respecting the laws in this country are the ones who are actually breaching the laws. Because if we were to follow the law, it is a criminal offense to intimidate members of any profession who are on industrial action. So if the minister comes up to intimidate and he goes scot-free, you see how unfair it is to have somebody who should be implementing the law, somebody who should be enforcing the law, now is the one breaching the law. So I want to call upon the Uganda Law Society to stand with the Teachers Union in fighting for their rights and in issuing the statement condemning the intimidation that has been issued by the Minister in charge of Public Service. Otherwise, I want to thank you very much. The statement issued recently was timely. I want to thank the CEO. I want to thank the presidency of Uganda Law Society, and say that we see what you do. We see, much as you may not hear us speaking so much, but always follow and say, and really I want to appreciate you so much. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Advocate Richard, for that answer. We take note of that because also the Uganda Law Society is part of the team that usually goes to Parliament to discuss those bills, and if you find that the responsible ministry is going back, it means you have done some work, because when you are sharing your views, it means you are looking forward to the bill to be included with your comments. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing, and the Uganda Law Society is a mouthpiece. You don't have to do so much. All you have to do is identify and associate with the radical new bar, because we are radical and we are here to enhance the remunerations of teachers, amongst other things. Of course, the teachers are not the only ones. There's quite a number of other groups, as we said, that have come to us, and we have received them warmly, and we hope that at least after every other such interaction, there is a difference in how you came. Our question that will come, I think from Adam, but before Adam comes in, would like to ask Miss Bruna, who is still online. The question that was earlier on sent by Nakato Masi was asking Miss Tina, which I want to expect that Miss Bruna should be in position to address, because she has been alumnus about the scholarship, and she asks, does the scholarship also cover dependents, or is it closed-ended to only cover the applicant? Miss Bruna, the question is, it was meant for Miss Tina. Does the scholarship also cover dependents, or is it closed-ended to only cover the applicant? The second question for you in particular is just to pick from your experience, comes from Mr. Egesa Tony, who asks, or rather makes a statement, the scholarship is extremely competitive, especially at the initial stage of essay writing. Are there any few tips you could share for one to consider when applying? This is mostly what you spoke about, but of course, you could maybe run through it again for Mr. Egesa and the whole other membership and following to listen in, because we seem to have gotten interested parties to apply for that scholarship. Miss Bruna, can you hear us? May you please shoot if you're there?
This and all the people that have asked the questions, I think Tony, and then you said Adam along the way. I hope you can hear me. The questions that are coming in show that there is an interest in the scholarship, which is a plus or a positive. Thank you to the Uganda Law Society for inviting us over to share information with the membership of the Uganda Law Society. First, to Nakato's question as to whether the scholarship covers dependents as well, I want to state that it is a no. It is the scholarship is one that is offered only to the applicant or to the successful applicant, and it caters purely for the individual's study fee, accommodation, and a stipend. That is a minimum amount of money that is given to somebody to be able to cater for their feeding, transportation, and any other costs that may arise during their stay in the UK. So it is no. And then to the last question on crafting, yes, one, the Chevening Scholarship is highly competitive, and it is a merit-based scholarship. And given the fact that you're competing with different people that have excellent ideas, that are creative, and have equally had impact, the onus is on you to prove yourself the best amongst the best. And so that means that you have to have a very good art of storytelling. That is in caps lock. Art of storytelling, being able to show that you are an excellent person, that the program should be interested in having you. That would mean that your presence benefits you, the individual, through the skills that you're going to acquire. 2, it will benefit the scholarship as well through your interaction with the networks that you're going to meet. So that means that you're showing how your presence is going to be impactful to the network and globally and nationally in the country. 3 is that your ability to show what your vision is, because the scholarship requires you to answer 4 essay questions. 1 is on leadership and influence. In leadership and influence, you're literally selling yourself out there. What do you want people to know about you? It's not about the title, like I already said. Who are you beyond your professional title? What impact have you had in your different community away from the title that you have? Yeah. What influence have you had? So literally in your leadership and in the essay for leadership and influence, we expect to see these attributes: the impact, the influence, what the situation was or what the problem is, and what actions you have championed to influence or to cause change in that specific society. For example, we could say that maybe you, in 2022, you led a group of youth, or you influenced a group of youth to advocate for changes in a specific policy. Let me give an example of the Succession Act, to advocate for changes in specific laws of the Succession Act. And because of your advocacy, the Succession Act has been amended. And as a result of this amendment, 200 women have been able to obtain interests in estates. So you see, that is a compelling story. It is telling, it is showing the action that you undertook. It is showing the impact that you took, because there is a human face at the end of your action. 1, the law has been amended, and secondly, there are people that have actually benefited from your actions. So show your influence, show your impact, and show the human face in your impact. That is in terms of numbers, in terms of real stories of people whose lives have been transformed as a result of your action. And also being able to tell the problems that were there at that particular time. So that is for leadership and influence. I also said Chevening wants to know how it is going to be beneficial for them to have you on board. And so that is your ability to tell or to sell yourself, your story, in the essay of networking, relationship building. How do you build your relationships? Show us what kind of networks that you're already involved in. For example, you're a member of the Uganda Law Society. How useful have you been to the Uganda Law Society aside from being a member? Have you participated in any volunteer, or have you volunteered to champion anything within the Uganda Law Society? Okay, well, if that be the case, what about the Chevening space? What should they expect from you? Are you the kind of person that is going to get this award and you get to the UK and sit back? Or you're the kind that is going to get the award and participate in activities of Chevening, build relationships with other scholars, and work together to transform the society that you meet there? And even when you come back to your country, will you be a part of the Chevening Alumni Association? And will you contribute positively to activities within the Chevening Alumni Association. So those are things that you could look into to build up a story on relationship building and to show how in the past you have done it before, but even looking forward, you're going to contribute to the Chevening Alumni Associations or to the scholarship in general to benefit 1,000 more people aside from yourself. The third aspect is on career and university choice. What is the rationale for your career choice? And why are you choosing that specific university? So career choice is in aspects of what course are you vying for or are you applying for? We said in the beginning of this discussion that you should be able to know which universities, do your research and know which universities you want to go and study in. And in these universities that you've chosen, usually the provision is for 3. In these 3 universities that you've chosen, what is the course that you want to study? What master's program is it that you want to study? So why are you choosing those specific courses? How does it align with your past work experience? Okay, is it something that you're doing out of passion? Is it something you're doing because you saw a number of people suffering as a result of absence of that specific professional, and you want to have expertise in that field to support those people who are suffering? I'm just giving examples. And then finally, why are you choosing that specific university? What stands out about the university? Basing on my own experience, I applied for an LLM in international human rights law and practice based on my passion. That is a field that I'm really passionate in, advocating for the rights of women. And my passion stems back from childhood experiences of witnessing abuse and violence. So those were stories that I told in my own essay. And now when it got to the university choice, why I chose the specific universities I wanted, for example, the University of York, was because the university had a unique style of delivering its lectures. One of the aspects was field practice, would be placed in specific international organizations for our internship or field work. And that was something that I saw as unique, which other universities were not offering. So you should be able to tell them that you have done, in your essay, they should be able to understand that you've done research and you understand why you're choosing specific universities and why you want to do the course that you're doing. That is in your third essay. The fourth essay is on your career plan. Well, you have said you're a leader, you can build relationships, you know why you're doing the course, or you want to do the course that you want to do and in which university. So after all this, what is your career plan? The Chevening Scholarship is interested in visionary leaders, like Tina said. What is your short-term plan? Immediately you return from the UK. What do you want to do? You should be able to state that. In the short term, maybe I am going to continue. In my example, I would continue offering legal aid to indigent persons. That was my short-term plan. What is your mid-term plan? Maybe venture into the academia to teach a number of people the skills that you have acquired, or even to build capacity of youth civil society. Youthful advocates or anything like that. And in the long term, what is your plan? Because they want to invest in Chevening wants to invest in an individual or a leader that has prospects of, they have prospects and they have a vision. They know where they're going to. And so they know that the skills that they'll be imparting in you are not just something that is going to die off after the scholarship. So those are the 4 things that you need to take into consideration. And so I'll get back to what I said. You need to draft a star essay. That is, in your essays, you should be able to identify the situation, what tasks you're going to take, the actions that now you have taken, and the result, the impact. I wish you all the best. That is something that I would share with you on standing out amongst the many that will be applying. And trust me, if you do that, you certainly will be, you will get to the next level. Each stage has its own its own tips that you need to take into consideration. But for now, craft a star essay and sell yourself. Brag about yourself. It's the only chance you have to shine, to spotlight your attributes. Thank you so much. Over to you, Robert.
Thank you so much, very, very much indeed. Draft a star essay. Tasks have to be identified. Actions must be identified. Results must be identified. And the impact of your drafting should be at the fore. You have to be persuasive. You have to be compelling. You must show that you have potential to be a good leader. Thank you so much, Ms. Brunner. We shall, of course, look out for you because you're one of our own. We want to bless you for this information. Without Miss Tina, you have done a very good service. But we also know that Miss Tina is following us online amidst her busy schedules. But we want to thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, one more question. Adam, you said you had a question. It has been answered? Okay, it has been answered. There is a very interesting question here which speaks into selfishness. One is asking about the students who you're leaving in class. What about them? You're striking, it's third term, and you are not caring about the students. And that is Malcolm or Tim. That's a very broad question, of course. It might not have a particular individual to answer it. But it's the last question, and if you wouldn't mind answering it in a very short time so that we could have closure about this discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I want to thank whoever has been able to raise a question or questions. But finally, I'm responding to the question about selfishness and leaving the children in class when especially without attending classes, especially in the third term. I would like to bring this to the attention of the listeners and viewers that the issue of our industrial action today, which started on 15th September, is not a third term issue. If you have been following our submissions and the discussions, you realize that the issue started way back in 2018 when all public service unions sat and signed a collective bargaining agreement with the government, which was supposed to be implemented in a time frame of 5 years, ending 2023. But since then, government kept a deaf ear until mid-year 2022, when we again engaged in industrial action after having been able to wait for all the 5 years without any plan indicated to us about how those salaries were going to be enhanced as provided for by the collective bargaining agreement. On 4th July, which was second term, we met the president at Kororo Independence Grounds. He requested us to suspend the industrial action to allow time for continued negotiations between UNATU and the government. In my submission, I indicated that between July 2022 to the time when we started this industrial action, we had written dozens of letters and also formal requests for meetings. No government stakeholder complied. They kept on with their silence. They kept on with the postponements of meetings, and they kept on giving non-related excuses. So when we were there in the second term, they said, you see, the budget has already been passed, we can't do much. When we went there at a certain point in the first term, they said, you see, wait for April, May, and June, and you see what is going to be provided for in the budget. All that did not yield into anything as expected by the teacher. Now today, we are there at a time when the budget cycle for the year 2026-2027 is in process. We are not demanding salary increment in this financial year 2025-2026. But we want the government's commitment about how it is going to, how much it is going to include in the budget, financial year budget of 2026-2027, and how we shall catch up with others who really got 400% salary enhancement in one installment. What is difficult for the government? To say, yes, we are committed to doing ABCD. Let them come out and say, out of the 300 you are demanding, we have, let's say, 300 or 200 in next financial year. Then the other percentages, we say we agree with them. But taking now all these years, and you come with threats of dismissal, it is actually being viewed as if there is nobody who caters or cares about the education of the Ugandan child. It looks as if the education of the Ugandan child is no longer a priority. I want to thank you.
Thank you so much. It's quite absurd, and we just hope that the government is listening in, and of course we have the government that follows us, and we take these ideas up that side. There is a last question from Juma Salongo. I'm sorry, we've run out of time, but I cannot leave it because he has given us time. So his question is, AI is on the rise, and there is fear that many professionals will be replaced. How is this affecting the education sector? Are our teachers safe? AI is on the rise, and there is fear that many professionals will be replaced. How is this affecting the education sector? Are our teachers safe? Uncle David, would you mind taking that question?
Thank you so much. Now, Ministry of Education and Sports came up with a digital strategy. There's a digital strategy that will now give guidelines on how AI will be embraced in our educational systems. There are good aspects of AI. There are also negative aspects of AI. I'll pick one. AI, if we are not careful, will kill the critical thinking, the aspect of critical thinking, using our brains to think fast, our minds to be creative, to be innovative. So it is an issue that is being handled, and our teachers will be guided on how to embrace AI. I'll give an example. AI is useful to some extent, and you can use it to support the development of instructional materials. It can be useful in that area, and to support learners who are academically challenged with approaches of facilitating them in learning, but not to use it in helping them think. No. So the ministry is embracing AI, but there is a strategy that will guide its use in our educational institutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Uncle Zadok, you seem to want to answer something there.
No, I agree with him.
100%.
Yes.
It's okay.
Finally, there are also ethical issues that we have to be careful with as we use AI. So government is looking at that as we come up with guidelines on how AI can be embraced in schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much. our distinguished speakers. A round of applause to them really for everything that they have done today. We have to remind you that our bigger following is online, so kindly take note of that. And we're also advocating for the tenet of digital transformation, of course. So that's why you've seen Miss Bruna is online, and a lot of this happens. We want to appreciate you for the work that you're doing. We want to appreciate you for your presence. We sent out letters to different institutions, and you honored the invite. We don't take it for granted. We bless you for the work that you're doing and your presence. We would like to also end this at this moment. The continuation of the discussion is going to be on the action points, on the matters that you've raised, which are very important, UNESCO and UNATU. Of course, there's some engagement with the Parliament, which is also a place where we always go in order to see to it that SDG number 4 is put into practice: inclusivity, equitability, and quality education. And as we step away from today's discussion, let us remember that to teach is to touch eternity. We cannot pretend to imagine the impact of teachers apart from how you have grown up from age 3 or 4 when you join school and leave school at 18, 19. But you said teachers are learning friends, not learned friends as lawyers. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very interesting session. We'd like to thank you for being with us live at the Uganda Law Society House. We've had a host of discussions. We've had so many insightful discussions and ideas and wisdom shared, both touching the Chevening UK scholarship as well as the teachers' challenges, but also identifying with the teachers, especially as we commemorate World Teachers Day. And as we leave this place, we would just like for you to appreciate that we are who we are because of the teachers that taught us, and in that regard, whenever called upon, it is our own mandate to support the teachers, because what they are fighting for is very, very, very normal and required for us to have the best quality, especially for our children deep down in different schools and learning institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the session. On behalf of the Uganda Law Society, the Governing Council, the management, the secretariat, the staff, we would like to thank you very, very much for joining us on this 38th edition of Radical New Bar Live Weekly Press and Public Engagement. We look forward to a better relationship with the teachers. We also look forward to seeing you again next Thursday, same time, same day. As it is a procedure, we normally take pictures for accountability purposes with the panelists. We unfortunately, of course, also had to let Miss Tina leave because she had some other programs, but in your presence, we wouldn't mind taking a picture, at least for purposes of posterity and capturing the record. Thank you so much once again, and God bless you for God and my country. Because we are Happy World Teachers Day as it comes. Thank you so much.